Hey, we're back on with the Gotta Go Godzilla Podcast with me, Shadow Fox. We got Archimage and we got Zed. And we got our mysterious monster of the week.
Yeah, definitely didn't give it away by
yeah,
accident.
yeah, I didn't accidentally
No,
give it
not-
away before we start recording. No.
And we can definitely see the proper screen and not four small screens.
Yeah, we're definitely not also hearing ourselves when we talk because you shared Discord instead of the other one.
Oh, jeez, so you guys listening to this? Oh, I give up. I give up. I give up. No, I just caught that. Oh, well, you know what? They can't catch that. They just see the podcast image. So.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I am positive that's all they see. Oh, screw it.
Oh, there's the right one.
Yeah,
I no longer hear myself when I talk.
Okay, good. Because I hear myself normally and I don't like it.
Well, they at least heard the monster, which I am more than sure if they heard. Fingers crossed as I check OBS in a panic. Yes. Okay. Yes, they could only hear that. So I'm calling.
Okay, so should we try to guess what the monster is?
Yes, you. Yes, please guess what the monster is.
Okay.
No, I'm.
Okay, I'm gonna take the first guess. I'm gonna say it's Jason.
Voorhees?
Yes.
No, we've watched several kaiju movies. It's obviously Frankenstein.
Okay. You know what? His guess is better.
His will actually be closest. To be fair.
Sorry. Frankenstein's monster. I must clarify.
There
yeah.
we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, it's gotta be Mothra, as I screwed up on the voice, letting them hear the voice line, but they heard it before the recording as well, so they know what Mothra sound like.
Yeah. What are there? Oh, right, the twins.
Yeah, okay, so you were almost about to ask about the fairies.
Well, yeah, I saw these two weird little dots on the, on the building. And so it's like, what are those two? Oh, right, the twin fairy girls, who keep changing.
Well, yeah, and we'll get to them. First off, the Mothra roar that we heard, I never knew. I never looked up what the roar was. Apparently, it's a combination of a sped up Anguirus roar, along with Rodan screeches, and along with a monster that we probably won't cover, except maybe vaguely, Maguma, which is a giant walrus that was in its own standalone Toho movie.
Okay, I'm looking up what the heck this creature looks like.
It is a giant, big.
Oh crap! It is a walrus.
Yes. No, I wasn't joking when I said that.
Oh, you heard it here first, folks. Moths are part walrus.
What? Where was this movie?
I don't know. That wasn't. I've heard that movie, but it's very rare that I've seen it.
Okay, just say we're going to have to ask our mutual friend if he has this movie.
He probably does, given the amount that
anyone
we've
might
seen.
have it, it's him.
Maybe, but if I haven't heard of a Toho film, it's pretty rare.
No, I agree. It's probably rare, but I'm just saying, if anybody does have it, it's probably
It
him.
would be him.
Yeah.
But we'll ask. Let's see. To pull up all the. I have a very interesting part in this podcast because I have to convince you that a giant moth is completely capable of being in a universe where a giant fire-breathing dinosaur monster and a giant dinosaur bird, and it can hold its own and actually is a threat to anything.
Yeah, I'm still calling BS on that, and I've seen a lot of movies with Mothra in it. I'm still saying BS.
Well, okay, hear me out. Okay, let's first.
Oh God, what is this paper? What?
The stats of Mothra. Mothra is
A giant bug.
Well, 250 meters wingspan. It has a length of 180 meters when it's in its larva form. It's actually shrinks a little bit and go to 80 meters when it's in its Mothra form. Weighs 15,000 metric tons when it's in its larva form, and yet get heavier with 20,000 metric ton when it's in its moth form.
Yeah, with those Big ass wings, I'd imagine.
Yeah, those wings are huge, but you think they would be light considering it got fly all the time. But its eggs.
Okay, I'd like to
Yes.
point out that we live in a world where in Pokemon a whale is supposed to be able to fly with how big it is. I do not put it past those wings to weigh as much as they do, and that thing still be capable of flight.
Well, that's Japan for you.
Physics makes no sense anymore.
Yeah.
That was just the first generation Mothra. The second generation Mothra, slightly different specs. It eggs is 50 meters. Its weight is 65 metric tons for the egg. It wingspan actually gets smaller. It's 135 meters. And it's also a little bit smaller as a larva. It's 40 meters in length. And 65 meters when it's in its moth form, weighs 10,000 metric tons as a larva and 15,000 metric tons as a moth. And then its third generation, because as you can tell, there's a lot of Mothras. It has a length of 40 meters and a metric ton of 10,000 metric tons, and both of those are when it's in its larva stage. So first we gotta get to Mothra. There's a lot of Mothras.
You don't say.
Clearly.
You throw a dot at Mothra, you're gonna hit one of its generations. Surprisingly enough, you think one of its mini nickname would be, I don't know, like a phoenix or something, just because of how often it dies and come back.
Oh, I was gonna say killed with bug spray.
No, but surprisingly enough, it nicknames. I forgot this was a nickname for it. The Thing.
The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. That was originally how it was advertised.
The Thing.
The Thing.
How creative.
Yeah. It's also the Guardian of Infant Island, Giant Supersonic Moth, and the Queen of the Monsters. The last one is kind of tacked on from the legendary, but I'm keeping it because that's a fitting term for Mothra. So
Yeah. Aside from all the creepy ass fan art that came from Godzilla and Mothra.
Oh,
being
that
king
used
and
to
queen.
exist long before then.
Seriously?
Yes.
What the hell is wrong with the internet?
I mean, a lot? Have you how much time do you have?
Not
A
enough.
better question would be
Move on.
what's not wrong with the internet.
Yeah,
that's a
actually-
shorter list.
Yeah, that's a short list.
And I don't have time for either of them. Move on.
So, Mothra was in its own standalone movie, just called Mothra. The movie was, it's kind of a little bit separate from the. It's a little bit separate, but not that much. Because it's strange. So the first Mothra movie, a scientific expedition head to to Infant Island since it was subjected to H-bomb testing. But recently there were evidence that there were survivors on the island, native survivors. So they basically several nations, the UN kind of got several nations together to lead an expedition to this island to see if there was truly any natives there, to see what the H-bomb testing did to the island and did to anyone living on the island. And of course, one of the countries in this expedition is the completely realistic country, or Velisican.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in. Let's see if you guys can pronounce that. Velisican?
Velisican?
Velisican? Yeah, see?
Rolskin?
Ralskin, maybe?
I mean, that sounds like that would be the name of the natives that would have lived there.
Exactly, but that was one of the made-up countries. Pay attention, because that country will play the big part.
I'm sorry, did you say one of?
Well, that was the Infant Island is technically, I guess, I'm made up.
Yeah, but it actually has words.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that country claims they find the two fairies. The fairies are they're basically Mothra's priestess. They are Mothra's link to humanity. They usually have telepathic powers. Usually they use this for mostly communicating to Mothra, but they can also use this to read people, not so much read people's mind, but read people's intention. They can.
Sorry, I'm not gonna lie. I thought their main purpose was to sing the new catchy Japanese song.
I mean that too, but that's a bonus. That's a bonus. They can read into people's hearts and see if you're truly good or evil type deal.
Damn, we're screwed.
Oh yeah, no, they would. Yeah, they would easily sick Mothra on you guys. And me too. Well, anyway, the Roskikin members of the expedition decide to kidnap the fairies. They kill a good chunk of the natives in the process of taking the fairies, and pretty much claim ownerships of them. Because their government claimed ownership of that island. That's why they were on the expedition, and they forced the fairies to do shows for them so they could make money.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, well, not those types of shows.
Okay, well, when you say shows in Japan, I have to question it.
No, so
yeah,
just
I
a
kind of
bit.
agree with that.
they did what Alchemist said. They forced them to sing.
Okay.
I
Alchemist
guess.
was pretty much spot on when he said they are singing the hot new Japanese song. Yes, that's literally what they made them do in the movie.
Okay, so they
made them-
forcefully turned them into idols. Got it.
Yes, pretty much.
So, wait, essentially, does that basically make them a forerunner to Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Maybe. Possibly. I should also mention that the reason they're called fairies, there also goes by the name Tiny Beauties, Shobajins. These are about. They aren't just like miniature little people. They are straight up. So during the Showa era, they are literally 30 centimeters tall. That
So they're a foot tall.
is that even a foot?
Yes, 30 centimeters is a foot.
So that's
Yes,
yeah.
Huh.
11.8 inches. So yeah, a foot.
they're a foot.
Huh,
That's
interesting.
pretty short. That's not short. That's microscopic almost. So
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, that's pretty tiny. I've had action figures bigger. They are action figures. They're like literally little dolls.
and also to prove their at first when they see them, they don't even think they're intelligent because they're speaking a language they can't understand. And just by being around just
So like everyone when they meet a foreigner.
yeah, but pretty much as they pick up they learn how to speak Japanese within days, possibly.
Damn.
Like, I mean, fluent Japanese, not even. So they all like they claim they just pretty much. Some of this may have been I can't remember if it was telepathy or whether they were just really good at picking up languages, but they instantly picked up Japanese. Eventually, Mothra shows up and do not like the fact that there's a bunch of people who took her fairies. And she take a whole lot of offense to it. At this point, she is in her larva stage. And she's pretty much the Godzilla of the movie. She can't really be stopped. She is going, she pretty much tear through the whole city. And then make it to Tokyo, I think it was a Tokyo Tower or a radio tower. Giant antenna.
There is the Tokyo radio tower.
I think it was the Tokyo radio tower. And make a cocoon around herself. And needless to say, they tried to burn the cocoon. Did not work that well. Mothra hatched from the cocoon. And once she was in her Mothra form, her giant moth form, yeah, things got really bad for everyone trying to fight Mothra. It got really bad. I mean, I didn't think a moth would tear up a city that much, but oh boy. Mothra pretty much caused hurricane-style winds and tore half the city apart. Tanks and jets all trying to shoot her down just pretty much became giant debris that she could pretty much blow into buildings and stuff.
So wings are hurricanes, taking that line very seriously.
Oh yeah, no, wings are straight up hurricane for it. Eventually, the made-up country decide, okay, Mothra's far too dangerous for us to let these guys get away with just using her fairies as idols, so we're just going to give them up and and yeah, they did that. They took the fairies back to they made a symbol in the airport so Mothra would go to it. And I believe they also played some of the music that the native were playing on the island that they heard to get Mothra to come to the airport. And that screenshot that I had on the screen for the longest time is pretty much Mothra at the airport getting ready to take the ferries to go home to Infinite Island. And that was the first Mothra movie in a nutshell.
I feel like I vaguely remember seeing this movie.
You may have. The second one will
we saw a similar movie where they lured using music some creature to like an airport near the water or something.
Yeah, no, I remember that, but I think I actually saw this Mothra movie he's talking about.
Oh, maybe.
Isn't it also on HBO Max right now?
I think it may be on Max right now. I have not checked. I had to actually I had to look for another copy of it so that I could actually watch it for the review.
Yeah, but I like it. Sounds familiar. I feel like I've seen this before, but with my memory, it's hard to tell.
So now getting into the actual, so I use that one as the most. So technically, that movie Mothra is separate from the Godzilla universe. But,
okay, so sorry, real quick,
yes.
Just clarification. Did the Mothra standalone movie come out first, or did the one with Godzilla come out first?
The Mothra standalone movie came out first.
Okay. Got it.
And I think, do I actually have a date? Yeah, 1961 is when the Mothra movie came out. 3 years later, Mothra vs. Godzilla came out.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
So I use that one as just a the reason I mention that one, because normally I'm only including things that is canonical to the Godzilla universe, for Showa era Godzilla. The reason I bring up this one is because Mothra is almost identical to this version, down to she comes from an island and she has two little humans who are her who basically are her priestess, who speaks for her, and she have a bunch of neighbors that she take care of, and she's a giant moth, and so it's pretty much 1-to-1 Mothra.
Okay.
So that's why I mentioned that, just to give a better background on her.
Just say the current image you have on screen, that is an ugly looking Mothra.
So that one's actually from the Godzilla vs. Mothra.
It looks really bad. Like, it looks like it was left in the sun too long and faded.
I mean, there's a lot of Godzilla suits that was kind of left out in the sun for a long time.
Yeah, I know, but come on, look at this thing. I mean, it doesn't look good.
I mean, that's not its most flattering image either, because I think that is the image of right before it dies.
Yeah, I mean, that I could believe.
So with this one, Godzilla vs. Mothra 1964, this one start up a giant egg wash up on the show after a storm. Two fairies, the Shobijin of Infant Island, reveal that the egg belonged to Mothra and they wish to have it back. But the Happy Enterprise Corporation claims to buy the egg from the locals, and because they bought the egg from a bunch of random fishermen on the island, they now have legal rights to it. Because that's how capitalism works, baby.
Yeah, clearly.
And they turn it into a tourist attraction. Eventually, Godzilla shows up and starts to attack due to the high radiation left from Mothra's egg. Due to the infant island, just like in this film, had atomic weapon testing on it.
Wow, it's almost like they're trying to drive home a point.
Yeah, exactly. Seeing how... So this island, again, now you see why I said the first movie. Because the first movie honestly do seem like a prequel to this movie.
I get that.
They asked the islands to... So when Godzilla showed up, the local Japanese protagonist asked the natives of the island and the Shobijin and Mothra for help. And Mothra agreed to help them. She fought Godzilla, put on a good fight, got in some good licks on him, knocked him over once, dragged him by the tail, even used some poison powder on him. And ultimately... she dies due to her wounds and old age. She was at the end of her lifespan when she went to fight Godzilla. But Mothra egg hatch and it's twins. and the twins decide to carry on the job that her mother started, and they defeat Godzilla essentially by doing guerrilla tactics, luring him into a canyon where they can play hide and seek, and during the whole time they're shooting him with their silk web and tying him up, and eventually knocking him into the ocean. And one lava do bite onto his tail and get the tar being out of it. But that's pretty much the whole movie. Is they knock Godzilla into the water, and Godzilla's like, yeah, this is too much work for one egg. I'm gone. And that was a very anticlimactic ending for a Godzilla movie, in my opinion.
I can understand that.
The next appearance would be in another. Oh wow, was this also 1964? Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. This is another monster we haven't got to yet. But Ghidorah, long short end, is Ghidorah is a space monster that was summoned to conquer the Earth. Mothra was the only monster intelligent enough to see the threat that Ghidorah posed, and had to convince Godzilla and Rodan to stop fighting each other and to work together to fight Ghidorah. And
makes sense.
Needless to say, I think I actually got a very good picture on this one, because this is the only other movie where Godzilla have a conversation. He doesn't outright talk, but they do translate what he's saying. That I don't know if you can see Mothra in the background in her lava form.
Okay, I was gonna say I could see the larva.
Yes. So in this one, Mothra had twins in the previous movie. One of the I always miss the line when they say this, but one of the larvas dies.
Bummer.
And they just the theory is it succumbed to the wounds of its fights with Godzilla. The fan theory is the one that bit onto Godzilla's tail and got flung around and beat was the one that died, because it took the most injury in the fight.
Yeah,
that's the theory, the fan theory.
Makes sense.
So yeah, and that is with Ghidorah. The last honorable mention will be Ebera, Horror of the Deep, a giant crawfish. You all saw that movie.
Oh yeah.
We'll get to that movie eventually, but this one Mothra plays a small role, but deserves some honorable mention because her natives got kidnapped while she was sleeping, and once she awakens, she does go out to save her people and bring them off of the island.
Hurrah!
Yeah, hurrah! So I can tell by your tone, you're still not feeling Mothra. Mothra is
not a lot.
Not a lot.
I'm sorry, it's a giant butterfly.
Now, here's something that is going to that will actually make you go, really. If the monsters was real and I had to choose one monster to defend my life, I would probably choose, if I couldn't choose King Kong, it would be Mothra.
Less chance of it eating you?
No chance of it eating me. That's the point. It is, if it's set out to do something, it's not. There's very few, if any time. The only time Mothra has ever been hostile to humanity is when you take the fairies away.
Yeah, no. From a complete, I don't think of practicality when I think about Godzilla. But going from a completely practical standpoint, if you're gonna go with a monster to protect you, I mean, let's be honest. Godzilla, you're gonna die just from being around it from the amount of radiation it emits.
Exactly.
King Ghidorah is gonna eat you.
It will kill you. It will easily kill you
without a second thought. That big crawfish monster you were talking about will either drown you or break you up into little bits and then eat you.
Rodan will eat you.
King Kong is a maybe. I think you'll have a better chance if you're a blonde girl.
Yes, I will have to wear a wig the whole time too.
But honestly, based on the King Kong movie, I'm not sure how safe the blonde girls were going to be on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and let's see. I think every other Godzilla movie monster, you'd probably get eaten or worse.
Well,
So yeah, no, I actually do get that.
So with Mothra, Mothra is probably the only monster that give a damn about humanity. Every other monster. So in that one movie that I had the screenshot of with the with Mothra talking to Rodan and Godzilla, for that whole movie, Rodan and Godzilla, they're just beating the crap out of each other. That's literally their whole role in the whole movie. They're literally just fighting each other. Why? Who cares? They probably just saw each other and didn't like each other's appearances, and they just decided to beat the tar out of each other.
I mean, I can see that. Rodan will definitely kill you.
While Mothra was in her lava form, she got both of them to stop fighting with each other and to sit down and listen.
Wow, she really is a mom.
She is a mom, but that's pretty noteworthy to me. There's very few monsters that can make Godzilla stop fighting.
That's true.
And it wasn't just Godzilla made stop fighting. It was Godzilla and Rodan. Two monsters that are pretty much designed to take it down. A giant fire-breathing lizard and a giant dinosaur bird.
Yeah, you got to give them props.
And Mothra got them both to stop fighting and have a conversation with it, where it was like, please stop fighting for 5 minutes because there's a giant three-headed monster that has golden armor that comes from space that breathes some type of strange yellow lightning. I don't think I could fight this on my own. And I don't think any one of you could take it by yourself. And
now, you see, honestly, I kind of expect Godzilla to react, bitch, you don't think I could take something by myself? Let me at him.
The way Godzilla responded was, he's just after humanity. It's not my problem. Humanity always pick a fight with us. Why should we help them? That was literally Godzilla's argument, and Rodan was like, I agree. Why should we help? Screw them. Screw humanity. Why should we help them?
No, I definitely saw that. It's just like that. More, I would expect Godzilla to say more of that, where he's just like, giant monster. Does he think he's better than me? Kill time. Because that's, let's be honest, most of the movies, Godzilla is just wanting to kill the other monster.
Well, he was in the process of killing Rodan.
Yeah,
he was already busy killing something.
So he probably, if he had killed Rodan, he probably would have moved on to Ghidorah.
Maybe he would. One other thing to note is, immediately as Mothra is trying to talk to them, they immediately start fighting. Rodan and Godzilla immediately start fighting each other again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mothra actually did shame them into helping her because he basically said, if you're not going to fight him, I'm going to fight him by myself. And goes off to fight the monster by herself. Essentially, I guess Argumich, Godzilla was like, no, giant monster, I get to fight. And joins in.
Yeah, now that I believe.
For Mothra's power, Akosi got her silk webbing, which is capable of tying up Godzilla and restraining him. So, I'm just throwing that out there. If it's strong enough to tie up both Godzilla and also Ghidorah, who we haven't covered yet, but Godzilla and Rodan, Godzilla alone should be the good baseline right there. It can tie up Godzilla. It takes a lot of it, but it could tie it up.
I mean, yeah, probably, but okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I know that in real life the webbing's just kind of silly string they're shooting out of a giant puppet.
Yes.
But okay, so like, do they have to kind of stand still for this to happen? Like, if you keep moving, like, because I feel like they stand still for this quite a bit.
They do have to stand. They do have to stand still. I don't know whether, looking on it, because I'm now using Legendary Mothra as a baseline for the silk. I don't think it, because the reason I'm not using Showa is because with Showa they had to stand still because, like you say, it's silly string. They probably couldn't have an easy way of making Mothra move while shooting the silly string properly.
True.
And making it hit on target. With the Legendary, they don't really have that limitation because most of it is all CG. and we saw Mothra using the silk in So I would say, I don't know, for
And
Showa I would say yes a little bit, but here's the next thing I would ask: doesn't Godzilla have to stand still in all the Showa movie whenever he shoot his atomic breath?
I mean, yeah, but to be fair, like he stands still in most of the movies shooting his
Exactly.
atomic breath. Like I don't think
Not in Legendary. He does run in Legendary.
Yeah, but is he shooting his atomic
Yes.
breath? I don't remember that.
It was against the giant ice one.
Was he running?
Yes, there was one scene where he was running and shooting his breath off at it.
Huh. I don't recall that.
But
Was
he
it in
is,
the very last scene where like everything's just kind of moving all over the place?
yes.
Okay, that's
It
probably-
was when they made it to the surface, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
It was I think he ran towards it, shoot the atomic breath, and then tackle it. I believe was the
okay.
scene.
I know which scene you're talking about. I thought he stopped to do it. Like I thought he was
May-
charging up while running and then stopped and shot at it.
Maybe.
I could be wrong. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't pay like close enough attention to say I'm definitely right, but that's what I thought. But I admit I could be wrong.
We can look into that mode because now I'm curious to see how many scenes are there where Godzilla any of the monsters moving when they're using one of their beam attacks.
Right?
Because there's not that many. Ghidorah is the only one that I can think. Well, hang on, Mothra. That get me to one of Mothra's other ability. Mothra does in some incarnation have beam attacks that it can shoot from its antennas, which it can do as it's flying.
Okay, I do not remember the beam attacks.
This one was more of This one was more from which one was it? Rebirth of Mothra, which I think was some of the Oh, did it actually do it in Godzilla vs. Mothra? It apparently did it in Godzilla vs. Mothra, and I missed it at one point. That may have been one of the cut scenes because I remember several scenes was cut.
Yeah, because I was say I do not remember the beam. Zed, do you remember the beam?
Did
No,
Zach ever see Godzilla vs. Mothra?
I may not have, but
I mean, there's been a few movies with Godzilla and Mothra in it. Like, but I mean, I've seen definitely. I think I've seen maybe 3 or 4 movies with both Godzilla and Mothra. I don't remember a beam being used.
Again, some of these was cut. A lot of the abilities were cut, and you don't usually see them. Like Mothra was supposed to have I beams, and the I beams was put into the comic books.
Why would a moth have eye beams?
Why wouldn't a moth have eye
wouldn't it?
beams?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you know, I'm just gonna say it. Look, for all the Cyclops fans out there, I'm sorry, but you know what? Eye beams doesn't make a lot of sense. Since your eyes are basically meant to take in light, not send them out, eye beams do not make sense. Okay? Physically speaking, they make no sense. Okay? I'm sorry. For all the evolutionists out there, you're never gonna develop heat beam eyes because your eyes don't work like that. They take in light, they don't send it out. Okay, so eye beams, physically, biologically, evolutionary, everything speaking, makes no sense.
I think you're just jealous that you don't have heat beam eyes.
Of course I am, because it's physically impossible.
Well, to move on, we will go over just some fast strength, other strength. Its mandibles are strong enough to bite Godzilla and cause it pain. It is strong enough to pull Godzilla along the ground and knock Godzilla over when flying into it. We get a good little image of that from some of the comic book scenes. Let's see, but its biggest its weakness is easy enough. It's a moth. It's a moth fighting with dinosaurs. It's not going to have an easy time being able to it's fighting well above its weight class. Let's face it. Of all the sizes I mentioned, it's the lightest monster you'll probably see. It's gonna be a while before we can find any monster that's gonna be lighter than Mothra. But its biggest strength would be its intelligence. I would argue that it's probably the most intelligent out of all the Toho monsters. Maybe King Kong would probably be the only other one that would be more intelligent. But I gotta give Mothra a huge point because it can use logic and reason. You can reason with Mothra. You can actually argue your case with Mothra of why it should and shouldn't attack you. You can't do that with Godzilla or any of the other monsters. They'll just kill you.
Oh no, I mean, look, Godzilla. Let's be honest, Godzilla's pretty dumb. I mean, despite having 2 brains, he is not a thinker.
This version doesn't have two. The Heisei era have 2 brains. The Showa era, they never confirmed if he had 2 brains or not.
Okay, yeah, because that makes it so much better.
It makes it so much better. But one honorable mention, the comic book page I'm showing on screen, that's actually from Gangsters and Goliath. A very that's probably one of the few Godzilla comic book that Mothra's
okay,
more
your
of
mic
the-
is going freaky right now.
You've turned into a robot.
I think that's only for Discord.
Okay, I think you're back to normal. now.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, for you guys. That's only for Discord
Yeah.
whenever it does that.
Yeah.
The comic book is called Gangster and Goliath. It's one of the few comic books where Mothra is one of the main monsters. Simple comic book. Japanese cop is trying to deal with a crime syndicate. Ends up on Monster Island due to shenanigans. Meet Mothra. Manage to convince kidnap the fairies to get Mothra to attack the crime syndicate. You get to see Mothra, pretty much what Mothra can do when it's being made to target something. It pretty much wiped out that crime syndicate in a day.
I was surprised it took a day.
Well, here's the thing. It did it without causing casualties to other civilians. It only took out the crime syndicate.
No, still surprised it took a day.
It was a big crime syndicate all over Tokyo. It had several warehouses and no,
Okay,
this wasn't like a street level game. This was a straight up syndicate. They had several warehouse districts that they owned.
Gosh, so it's more like Al Capone's.
It was no, this guy was he was Japanese Al Capone. That's
Okay,
how they
got it.
portray him, as the Al Capone of Tokyo.
Damn, now I'm just picturing what Japanese Al Capone would look like.
Imagine Scarface, but actually,
No, I'm saying that
Yeah.
next time we're in that AI generator, we should put in Japanese Al Capone. And see what it gives us.
but other than that, that's pretty much it for Showa era Mothra. In my opinion, Mothra and I forgot my biggest takeaway for Mothra. I'm still on the fence of whether Mothra is actually a goddess. Because canonically, Mothra can't die.
Really?
Well, I mean, it can die, but it'll just come. So Mothra's big
no, I
gimmick
know
is
it,
every time it. I didn't say this in the in the podcast. Every time Mothra dies, it is canonical that Mothra will always lay an egg before it will die, and that egg will always hatch. So there will always be a Mothra. In theory, yes, if you kill the egg like a phoenix, if you kill the egg, you stop Mothra from being reborn. But essentially, if the egg is in a safe location, there's just always going to be a Mothra.
Yeah, so how does that work exactly with there only being one Mothra?
Mothra does reproduce asexually.
Okay. Just
Even
wanted
if,
to know.
and
That
this
clarifies.
one I had to look up because this Mothra did do her own trilogy series. We won't probably cover that anytime soon just because that trilogy series is completely separate from the Godzilla universe. But in that trilogy series, there was an indication that there was like just huge swarms of Mothras. And eventually, due to just constant fighting with all the other monsters trying to defend humanity, it limited it down to just 1 or 2 Mothras left. But it indicated that Mothra would lay a bunch of eggs in one go. And just ever so often, one egg would hatch. When one Mothra would die, another one would take its place. That's from the trilogy. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, and that one's completely separate from the Godzilla universe. I don't count that one because Mothra can transform and go Super Saiyan, and that's a whole nother. I'm surprised Zed didn't go. I'm sorry, what?
I mean, I'm thinking it.
No, I kid you not. Mothra in that trilogy get more transformation than Frieza did during the Saiyans, during the Namek arc.
Okay, well, that's saying something.
Yeah, like there's the Mothra Leo and Mothra Rainbow, and yeah, there's just all these variants of Mothras. If I went over that trilogy, this would be like a 2-hour freaking podcast at that point because those things are long. But no, Mothra. I'm still debating whether Mothra could be some type of deity in the Godzilla universe because when it's saying something that when the eggs hatched, they instantly knew their mom's old job and they knew what they had to do. Mothra clearly died before it could meet its kids.
That's
and yet
true.
they knew instantly we have to fight Godzilla because that's what mom was doing before she died. And then they instantly not only came out to fight Godzilla, New Bones was coordinated to work together to fight Godzilla.
I mean, that is impressive. And this is the movie where Godzilla is pretty much the soul of dead soldiers, right?
No. You're thinking that's Heisei era Godzilla. This is Showa era. This is Godzilla, just regular Godzilla, the same Godzilla that attacked Tokyo all the time.
Got it.
I mean, he's not the smart one, but he is strong. This is still the Godzilla that will fight the most monsters.
That's true.
And two New Bone lavas took him down. Granted, they didn't beat him. They just denied.
they still stopped him.
They stopped him, which was the job. So, yeah, while I was researching this, I'm like, is Mothra actual? Is Mothra like the Doctor? Because it's like a regeneration. The Doctor knows his past when he got regenerated.
That's true.
And it's like, yeah, now you're wondering that. Do the lavas
No,
actually...
I'm genuinely wondering, like, if the Doctor was turned into a monster, Mothra would probably be a close approximation to it.
Because that had me just thinking this whole time, like, is Mothra actually some type of deity or something? Because all the other monsters get associated with God, you know, Godzilla, God's in the name. King Kong, he was called the god of his island. King Caesar, another monster we haven't got to yet, may possibly also be a deity, because he can possibly raise the dead. We'll get into that later on. But Mothra can't really die, and it seems like whenever she has children, her children instantly have her knowledge and know what they need to do. Which is almost a form of reincarnation, which implies that it's some type of deity at that point.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So, again, Mothra, people like to sleep on Mothra. There's a reason Mothra is the second most popular, and Mothra is at this point the second most popular monster in the Godzilla universe. They did a poll in Japan. Mothra was always, like, they asked, what other monster do you like besides Godzilla? What's the most popular monster? Mothra is always number one on that list.
Huh.
So Mothra is the most popular.
I legit would have thought it'd been King Ghidorah.
No.
Huh.
He's like number 3 or something.
Yeah, it'd have to be, but still, damn. Okay.
So there's a reason Mothra got her own trilogy. Reason Mothra started with her own movie. There's a reason Mothra keeps showing up in the Godzilla universe. It's a very fan favorite character.
I mean, I guess I can see it. It's like, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, Mothra is still a giant bug to me, but like,
and here's the thing that will win Zed over to my argument. What superhero do you like, Zed, that is also based on a bug?
Spider-Man.
And yet he's going up against gods and deities, and he's always coming out on top. And just like Mothra, they both have web attacks.
All right, now I'm in.
I'm gonna say this: Mothra's the Spider-Man of the Godzilla myth of the Godzilla universe. I'm putting that out there. But that's pretty much all I have to say for Mothra, unless you guys want to add your 2 piece before we end it off.
I still think you can beat it with a giant can of bug spray.
Surprisingly enough, they never try that against it in the movies.
I mean, tell me you don't want to see that happen.
They never tried it in the movies. I can only imagine the Legendary movie where they talked about terminating it. That was the termination was giant bug spray.
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry.
Now-
I want to see a movie where they just
But here's
like they managed to do it with a can of bug spray and go, damn, that was so much easier than that giant radioactive lizard we have to deal with.
now here's the reaction to it. What poison could kill something that survived H-bomb and atomic bomb testing?
Raid.
That's the best advertisement I heard from Raid in my life. It can take down Mothra. Now here's the
I mean,
question.
it probably could since it kills roaches and they can survive new atomic blast.
I mean, that's a good point. There's my endorsement. Call
Okay.
Raid. We got
But
a
to be
whole
fair,
new
I do
thing.
know what it
I want you
does
to
to
remember
them.
that
So
argument when we get to the alien space roaches in Godzilla movies.
Oh,
please,
yeah.
please don't
Forgot
remind me
about
of those
that.
things.
I forgot about those.
So did I, and I was happy I did. Why did you bring it up?
Gotta remember those alien space roaches.
Shut up.
That changed back into giant roaches, despite being human looking. Somehow, very that whole movie is coming back to me now, including with the makeshift Godzilla. That was, okay, whole movie back in my head.
No,
Thanks for that.
We'll get to that when we get to Gigan.
Oh yeah, Gigan was in that movie too.
That was Gigan's main movie.
Yeah, because they needed cockroaches in that. I guess comparatively, they are giant cockroaches, but if you do a size-by-size comparison.
And I'm gonna say this: Mothra isn't the only bug in the Godzilla universe.
That's true. Didn't they also have that weird, giant...
I'm referring to Megalon.
Yeah, that thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so last question I will have,
Yes.
and that'll be a good way, is there a male Mothra?
Yes. In the
Does it look the same?
in the Mothra trilogy I mentioned, the main Mothra is the male character.
So does it look the same, or is it
Yes.
different?
Identical.
Okay.
Even when it turns to the moth, it still keep the same color patterns.
Okay, so Mothra can be a guy.
Yes. Which goes back to the whole thing that Mothra reproduce asexually. I don't know because it's been a while since I watched that trilogy. I was trying to watch it in canon to doing this, but I don't like to talk bad about Toho movies, but that Mothra trilogy movie is made for kids.
Yeah.
It's made for kids. And it's the first one, it shows that it's made for kids. The second one, also made for kids. Third one, yeah, they're all made. If you remember the Gamera movies,
Yes, I do.
the old school Gamera movie, how they always had the little kid and stuff.
Yes.
It's very much like those movies.
Gotcha.
Okay, I only remember one, and I think it was the one involving the tentacles. that you showed us.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one. Not that one.
Yeah, let's not mention that.
That's why we don't let Arguments choose a movie. Oh, I want to leave it on that part, so they're just wondering, what horrible movies are you guys watching that involve
That
tentacles?
was not my fault.
You were the one who selected it. It is entirely your fault.
And this is
Okay, I did not expect that. No.
we'll leave it on that note of Gamera movie, tentacles, and schoolgirls, and
It was
that's how
PG-13. It was PG-13.
and
Yeah,
why we don't let
it was also from several decades ago when PG-13 could probably get away with cutting someone's head off live on camera.
Yeah, but I didn't know it would have tentacle porn.
and that's why we don't let Arguments choose the movie.
Why would you not think that? It's from Japan.
Oh
Half
my!
the stuff that leaves that country is
We let
involves
Shadow
tentacles.
we let Shadow R Fox choose Godzilla movies and other stuff all the time. It never has tentacle porn in it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm choosing the right ones apparently.
Exactly.
Or maybe I'm choosing the wrong one. But anyway, man, that's gonna be a weird segue for the ending for everyone listening to the podcast of this. Just like, how did we go from talking about Mothra
Well, if
to
anyone
talking about...
skipped to the end for some reason, now they have a bunch of questions.
Half of them are going to go try to find what movie we're talking about.
You know what? This will make sense. Remember, the previous monster was King Kong and the octopus.
Oh, God.
Okay, really? We have to equate that?
Yeah, okay, so it all fits together. We'll end this off. Any last words?
Stupid tentacle thing.
There we go. That's perfect.